Today we'll be taking a look at WWE erasing the Hardys from WrestleMania history, Paige's love letter to Roman Reigns, and much more. Let's start things off with WWE's massive snub by ignoring and erasing Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy's WWE return from WrestleMania 33. This return from the Hardys was very special. They had just become free agents, and with them being the iconic legends that they are in pro wrestling, they were some of the hottest free agents that everyone was trying to sign. This was also coming off all their popularity in Impact Wrestling as Broken Matt Hardy and Brother Nero. So the Hardys were on fire and all the promotions wanted them, including WWE. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy blew off the WWE rumor every time that came up back then. But what everyone wasn't expecting was for the Hardys to actually return to WWE at WrestleMania that year. There were some rumors, but it was kept well under wraps, and the Hardys were brought over to the arena from the hotel at the very last second to keep things a big surprise. The New Day came out and announced that there was one more tag team being included into the match. The Hardys' music hit, and the crowd erupted. It was an outdoor stadium as well, so that usually takes away from the noise, but not in this case. The reaction for them was so loud in this moment that it felt like it was in an indoor stadium. That's how loud it was. The Hardys would later go on to win the tag team titles in that match. The reason why this WWE return is in the news is because WWE recently uploaded a top 10 of the loudest WrestleMania moments in history. Absent from this list of WrestleMania moments was one of WrestleMania's loudest moments in history, and that was the return from the Hardys at WrestleMania 33. That's why it's hard to take these sort of top 10 seriously from WWE, because of the petty moves like erasing and ignoring a moment from history, just because one of the talents ended up in AEW. That's really petty, and it's not right at all to erase a big WrestleMania moment because someone left the company. So there should be some sort of asterisk next to these top 10 that says top 10 wrestling moments, excluding AEW stars, because that's what it is. Can't call it loudest WrestleMania moments in history and ignore the loudest moment in WrestleMania history. Seems a bit foolish. The top 10 snub eventually got back to Matt Hardy and had this to say in response to WWE on Twitter. For everyone who's tweeted me, our WrestleMania 33 return isn't included because I'm now at AEW. I've always felt it's a damaging practice to selectively revise history with diehard fans. You tell me, should our WrestleMania 33 return be on this list? During the Hardys' return at WrestleMania, Big Cass could be seen whispering in Enzo's ear as the Hardys walked out. Enzo replied to Matt Hardy's tweet and said that Big Cass was telling him about how it was the biggest pop in WrestleMania history. A lot of fans believe it was in fact up there as one of the loudest reactions in WWE history. And like Matt Hardy said, it's hard to enjoy these top 10s from WWE because they're rewriting history, erasing things, being selective, and just being petty. So it turns a lot of people off from these top 10s. You're probably better off seeing a fan-made top 10 because they'll include everyone and not be so petty like that. But what are your thoughts on this situation? Does the Hardys deserve to be on this list for top 10 loudest WrestleMania reactions? Paige admits her love to Roman Reigns? This was a situation and mini storyline that actually happened in promo class for Paige and Roman Reigns when they were first starting out in WWE. Paige was recently a guest on Oral Sessions and explained the full story of reading a love letter to Roman Reigns, admitting her love to him, and then breaking up with him all in one promo class. Paige had this to say about that story. I was so embarrassed, and then I had to look at him and do this promo, and it was just so bad. The promo the next week, he, Dusty Rhodes, was just like, okay, here he is again. Leaky, Roman Reigns, go up there. You're gonna do another one. He was like, pretend you're reading a love letter. I want to see all the emotion in your face. So I had to pretend to read a love letter, and I was like, ugh. This is so embarrassing. So yeah, that stuff would happen all the time. Paige would also go on to talk about how the late great Dusty Rhodes was one of her biggest supports and told her that she'll be the biggest star to compare to everyone else. So it was really interesting for Paige to give everyone some insight on how promo class was for her back then. They all had to be quick on their feet and ready to go with anything Dusty threw their way, which was a love letter in Paige's case. In other news, Seth Rollins has been away from Twitter and social media altogether for a long time after it understandably became such a toxic environment for him. However, Seth Rollins has fully returned to Twitter after such a long hiatus. Seth Rollins was recently a guest on the Out of Character podcast and explained that it was really Becky Lynch who motivated him to give it a second chance. He had this to say: "I mean, I hate social media. I really dislike it, and I had deleted the Twitter app from my phone for the better part of a few months just because it was, to me, it created a real toxic environment in my own head. And as I was becoming a new father, I needed to not waste my time on that. And so it was actually my fiance, my wife, who kind of was like, you should think about it. I know you hate it. I know you don't like being in the apps and all that, but you should think about it." I kind of looked around. No one was really doing it, so I was like, to hell with it. I'll give it a shot and see what happens. Response has been pretty good so far. And the response has been great, just like Seth Rollins said. It's been a very long time since he's been fully active on social media, so he was welcomed back with open arms from the fans. Not only that, but Seth Rollins also tweets in character at times as well, which is great because that adds even more to his storyline and character. A lot of WWE superstars tend to go out of character on social media, which Seth will also do from time to time, but it's really great when they stay in character for some tweets as well. An example of Seth's great in-character tweet comes from this reply to John Cena's tweet. John Cena had this to say on Twitter: "Expect any sort of change you invest in to be criticized. Others' familiarity with who you were does not mean that it is best for who you are." Seth Rollins has a big change going on right now with his character, and the idea of wanting everyone to embrace his vision. So Seth had this to say in response to Cena: "Finally, someone who gets me. I'm a Gemini. What can I say?" So Seth has been very entertaining on Twitter for tweets just like that. So hopefully everything stays smooth so that he'll remain on social media. Seth Rollins and Cesaro will meet at WrestleMania in a singles match. Cesaro has been with WWE for just around a decade now and has never had a singles match at WrestleMania, so this will be quite the big match for him. Seth Rollins, on the other hand, has had a lot of success at WrestleMania. So, does he have an advantage of some sorts? It's possible, you can put up that argument. But Cesaro won the first ever Andre the Giant Memorial match. Not the biggest match in WrestleMania history, but it does involve you outlasting 30 other men. So, you can say it's sort of similar to winning the Royal Rumble. So Cesaro has had his fair share of WrestleMania success as well. Cesaro does seem to be on a roll now, and a WrestleMania win over a big star like Seth Rollins may be what Cesaro needs to really launch him. So, we'll see what happens there. Who do you have winning at WrestleMania? And what are your thoughts on today's other stories as well? Leave your comments. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.